based on TV and movies and what people typically think happens or how evidence, what are maybe some of the myths versus reality that people think happen or people think that are real versus reality?
It is not glamorous.
It's not glamorous.
By any stretch of the
we
imagination.
do not wear high heels. If SWAT is there, force an entry, they don't bust the door open and then we go, follow us, and like go in with them following behind us.
Welcome to the Garland Police Department's Long Code Podcast. This episode, we are going to dive into forensics. We are interviewing two of our lead forensics investigators, and they are super interesting, hilarious, and just really good, down-to-earth people. And so, we're going to talk about myths. We're going to talk about, some of the stereotypes that happen in movies and television shows, and then we're going to get into storytelling.
Yeah, forensics is such an integral part of police work, and the reality is there's some misconceptions in regards to what TV shows it to be like and what the reality is. So it's going to be really neat to see exactly how this goes.
You are clear for long code.
Well, today we're going to talk with our amazing forensics investigators, and without further ado, ladies, please introduce yourselves.
I am Tara Huggins, lead forensic investigator, and this is just started my 25th year here.
Oh, man. Ma'am?
I am Katie Tucker. I am a forensic investigator, and I am going into my 16th year.
So between the two of you, we have a lot of expertise.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, before we get started with the nitty-gritty of the job, we like to kind of get to know the person, the individual. So, Katie, let me start with you.
Okay.
What do you like to do when you're off? What are maybe some of your favorite TV shows that you enjoy?
I like to cook when I'm off. I like to bake, make all kinds of food, and my favorite TV show is Murder, She Wrote. And I watch British crime dramas.
Oh, that's
set
the
in
best.
Post-World War II England. So
That's the best. Now, just curious here. Why did you gravitate toward those kind of shows? Just at a young age, just watching those on reruns, or?
Oh, for sure. Well, not the British crime dramas. That's more recent. But I do like a Hallmark mystery too. I think I like
the Hallmark Channel.
I like the Hallmark Channel in general. It's festive. It's fun. But it's also lighthearted, so I don't watch a lot of heavy stuff when I'm away from work.
That's good. That's good. And that's awesome. Tara?
Unfortunately, I'm the opposite. I'm the stereotypical one that loves the true crime documentaries, and I kind of binge on all of those. And my family always, will come in the living room and I have the TV on, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're watching Murder and Death again."
Hey, it helps you. Maybe you get a trick out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting some of the stuff that you learn that and some of the techniques that you can prove on. So, I also like to crochet, so I'm also kind of like an old woman, but I have carpal tunnel, so.
She made us all blood stain pattern
did.
crochet coasters for our desk, so we all have a little piece of Tara.
Dude, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Was it real blood?
Yes. A little bit.
Hers.
Just a little extra something.
So a little.
They can all have a piece of
a little bit of DNA in your crocheting. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, all right. Well, tell me about a typical day in forensics.
Well, I guess the first thing we do is we get logged in because unlike officers, we work from our building. We're not like constantly driving around in our vehicles or whatnot. So we'll get logged in. We'll get with the units that were already in service and just kind of go over what they had, if there's anything they need to pass on to us and that we need to be aware of for the day. And then, of course, we, as any calls come in, we'll make sure that those, we respond to those, and we respond to pretty much just about every kind of crime within the city that goes on. So, and we're here 24/7, so there's always someone on duty taking calls within the city. If we're not on scenes, then we're more than likely we're in the office working on paperwork or evidence or fingerprints or firearms. So,
and I know me personally, like when I dive into something, or when I'm focused on a task, and then you get interrupted and completely pulled. I mean, it takes you sometimes, okay, where was I? How did I get to where this is? And you got to like refigure things out sometimes,
Right.
I bet.
Yeah,
And
that's
there's a lot of juggling going on.
absolutely, because you can be many times we're in the middle of a comparison, and comparisons are doing fingerprint comparisons is a lot of detailed work, and we'll be right in the middle of it, and then a call comes in, and we've got to leave what we're doing and take off to go get the call, and so you have to learn to juggle and multitask, and be able to pick up something we left, and so.
Well, and you mentioned, y'all go out to the calls and stuff. What are we talking? Obviously, you're going to a murder, but what else are you going to? What kind of calls do officers call you out to?
We go to murders, suicides, sexual assaults, kidnappings, burglaries of properties. We work forgeries from the office.
We do discharge a firearm whenever somebody shoots off a gun. We have to respond out there and collect, casings or projectiles if they're available.
Assaults.
Assault,
A lot of
yeah,
assaults.
got a lot of assaults.
Wow.
A lot of assaults and burglaries is.
So
is our main thing.
anything where evidence
Yeah,
is apparent.
pretty much we do all. We do all the way from just the minor property crimes all the way up to the, major offenses.
What's one of your favorite ones where you see the call and you're like, all right, here it is.
I mean, I guess you hate to say that, a major offense like a murder or something is, but there is that.
Well, nobody gets into this job because they want to work
Yeah.
work burglaries,
Yeah, I mean, you-
forensics wise.
Well, I would imagine too that it's very rewarding because yes, we have a murder. We have somebody who is deceased, and that's extremely sad. But this isn't your family member. This is your job. And
Right.
your job at that moment is to figure out what happened, figure out who done it.
Right.
One thing that I find interesting, there was a class that, we put on here at the police department, and one of y'all came and talked about how it's just as important to not only create a suspect, how important it is to create a suspect is to eliminate
Right.
suspects. And man, that really hit me because I was like, that is just as important, And so y'all do great work, and so he's asking you about what gets you excited. We have to have somebody that does that job, and it's good. It's okay that it excites you to have that level of a crime because I mean, man, that's what you went to school for. It's like sometimes people get into professions that they went to school for something and they don't use their degree.
I can tell you that our entire unit, I would say, is very passionate about what we do. Everybody has that degree of passion and excitement and wants to help and wants to go and wants to find all the evidence, bring it back, process it. Like that's what gets everybody going. That's exciting to us.
No, that's
Putting-
good.
Putting the techniques that we've learned, to use and being able to, investigate all different facets of, a crime and, find that evidence that could help solve the case or, at least give us a lead. And so there is a sort of an adrenaline rush to that.
Oh, for sure.
To go onto the scene and see what you have.
You
And
get fingerprint hits.
When you get that
adrenaline
aha
rush.
moment.
absolutely.
When
Yeah.
you're processing something in the lab, like a gun in the lab, and you get that fingerprint, because that's a latent print. That's something you're not seeing with your bare eye. So those are things only that we're seeing. Nobody's seeing that at the scene. That's exclusive to just us. So that is exciting.
Absolutely.
Man, I bet it does get your
And
heart
she'll be at
racing.
the APHIS station, which is
It's the automated fingerprint identification system,
And
which
so-
is when we lift latent prints, which latent means hidden. So essentially we're using in most cases on a scene, we're using a powder to help the powders will adhere to the sweat and the
amino acids.
in your
proteins.
fingerprints that you leave behind when you leave a fingerprint. And we make it visible using that powder. And we'll lift those prints and we'll come back. And if they're good enough, we'll put them into the system, which is its acronym is APHIS, but it's the Automated Fingerprint Identification System.
Tara's our APHIS queen.
So, there's 3 of us in the unit that are certified APHIS operators. And so we'll put those latents into that system. And what it does is it runs through a database of anyone who's been fingerprinted in the state of Texas. And then we have a secondary database that's anyone that's been fingerprinted in the entire United States.
Wow.
And so it'll run against all those prints, and then it will let us know. It'll bring us back a list of candidates to say that, you know, these 20 candidates could possibly be that person, that latent print that you're looking for. They could possibly match it. So we'll go through and we'll compare all of those latents to see if any of them match the latent that we've input.
I understand you have to do that by hand.
Yeah, we essentially scan in the latent, and then we go through and we pick all the points so that the machine knows what to look for, and it'll bring us back that list, and we'll do the comparison, and then what she was saying is you'll
Wow.
hear me over at APHIS when we
Get a little cheer, get a little excitement.
Yeah, get
People- Sometimes we
excited and-
gather around.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And then we get excited
We get
because,
excited.
you know, I'm the one entering it, but I'm not always the one that lifted it. A lot of times it's the other investigator. So, you know, it's always like, oh, that's awesome. You know, they gotta, you know.
And it's not just criminal fingerprints that she's checking against. When she said everybody that's been fingerprinted, she means people who've applied for employment at a police station, or teachers, or
Real estate agent.
real estate agents.
Yeah.
Anybody who has to be fingerprinted for their job is
Yep.
going to be in the system.
Wow.
So sometimes we'll get complainants. It'll be the complainant's prints, or it'll be a friend of the complainant, or, you know,
And you expect that their fingerprint should be in their house.
yeah.
Right.
But then sometimes you get a fingerprint that should definitely not be in that house. And then that's when you get to give that detective an investigative lead. That's exciting.
Yeah. So at least this person was in this house at some point.
Yes.
And then the detective's trying to figure out why, you know. Man, that's great. So how did you, so I understand you're kind of the guru of fingerprinting. How did that come around? Were you just drawn to it, or how?
Honestly, when I first started doing fingerprints, I did not enjoy it. It's very tedious, and it's hard on the eyes. So initially, it was not my favorite thing by any means. As I got further along in my career, I started to get more interested in it, and actually started to enjoy it. You know, really, what used to be tedious and, you know, exhausting, I now kind of like I like doing it, and I'm able to do it. I'm better at it now than I was. So it's just
She's
kind
the
of
best.
Man.
Hands down.
I don't know about that,
I
but-
tease her that I could hold up something from across the room, and she's like, she can just see from across the room. And she's not just looking. We're not
kinda
just
worth
looking
it.
at fingerprints that we lift with black powder. We
Oh, yeah.
process in our lab with chemicals that produce chemoluminescence, or something that's going to make that fingerprint glow that you still can't see with the naked eye. So we're having to use alternate light sources. We're
And then
having to use UV lights.
and then photograph.
Photographing things.
what
So
we're
we're not
seeing.
doing it off of an actual physical lift. We're looking at a photograph of a print, and we can see the pores in fingerprints. It's called poroscopy. Like we can do. She's amazing.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Well,
It's-
you know, obviously I'm in the field, but I'm not any expert by any means in y'all's field. And so when I see you guys working, man, I mean, it's incredible just how dedicated all of you are, not just the two of you, but, you know, and you are hunting for that needle in a haystack. You know what I mean? And when y'all pull out that, what did you call it, the luminescent?
We use an alternate light source, so it's going to be a range of the UV spectrum of light. So we're using UV lights to make things luminous,
Man,
and certain chemicals.
I've seen you
luminous.
give a demonstration in like complete darkness, and when you see like evidence light up, you know, and obviously you planted whatever it is for the demonstration purposes, but that is just a really cool thing, you know what I mean? And
And that's one of the cool things about the field is that it's always like expanding and changing, and we're always learning new techniques, and things are improving. And so the stuff that we did when I started, you know, has come a long way since then. And, you know,
That's
there's new
incredible.
techniques. And so, you know, we're able to work crimes even more, you know, thoroughly than we have been.
so I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the first fingerprint that was ever linked to a crime was a suspect's bloody fingerprint, and it was so crystal clear they were able to
Right.
figure out who, and that's kind of what started it, from what I
Yes.
understand. Man, that's really cool. Well, Katie, what about you? I mean, what are you drawn to in your field? You know, if I were to pigeonhole her into being the fingerprints, you know, and she's drawn to it, that's what she likes, that's what she's good at. What are you drawn to?
Oh, I like processing the scenes. I like serial number restorations on firearms is probably one of my favorite things. hit and run accidents, like fatality accidents, where we have to pull a car in, a vehicle in, and start looking for trace evidence. That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah. And now, how long can maybe like an accident,
Oh.
and I know I'm kind of priming you on a
No.
particular case that you've
You
talked
are.
about.
Okay.
But, say somebody's involved in a hit and
Right,
run and
right.
they think they're going to be sleek, and obviously they're cleaning it, washing it, trying to cover up
So,
evidence.
I can give you a specific case. I'll be kind of vague about certain things, but Tara also was involved in this too. It was 2016. We were brought in a vehicle from an accident that had happened 4 months prior, and our amazing traffic investigators did some of the most amazing police work I've ever heard of or seen in my life was done by our traffic investigators. They found the vehicle, brought it in, and white vehicles are very hard to the shades of white are very hard to discern from one shade of white to another. And somebody had tried to wash their white vehicle, change the hood, but that year he used a different year paint. So one year it was called like Dover Pearl, and the next year it was called something else kind of white. And he put a different hood on it. And we pulled in an expert from the dealership that dealt with that particular make and model of car, and he was able to get in there and look around for us and tell us what parts had been changed. We used a chemical called Blue Star, which most people know as luminol when they watch TV. It's what makes latent blood that's been cleaned up, luminesce or glow. And when they took the car through the car wash, they failed to remember that the blood would flow through to the engine compartment.
Oh, wow.
So we were able to, we took this entire car apart. We took the hood off. We took the wheels off. We took everything off. We found the most amazing imprint of a shoe under the undercarriage of a car, because when he was changing everything, he failed to remember to look under the car.
Wow.
And we had our victim's shoe print perfectly impressed under the undercarriage of a car.
Wow. Were you able to ultimately get DNA from the vehicle, or you were just being able to prove that vehicle?
We had, I think, just a very minimal profile because it had been so diluted through the car washes and things like that, and so many months had passed. But this person was sent to, he had to serve a time.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like it's almost impossible to completely scrub and wipe
We pulled
something.
this whole car apart. Traffic had to buy us pizza one day because we were just in the garage.
Well, that's
for
what it's all
hours.
for.
And it took from 2016, and I think the trial wasn't until 2020.
Wow.
2019, 2020, right before COVID.
Wow. So y'all, I've seen it, but can you kind of talk about when y'all do process a vehicle? Y'all have a special area that you do that in. You got kind of special equipment that help you get your job done. And mechanics would see this as like, wow, this is a heck of a shop you guys have here. Maybe can you just describe it just a little bit?
We have a separate building in the complex, the police complex, that is all the forensic investigators. It's where we work. So vehicles that we can't process on the scene, or vehicles that are involved in a more major offense that are going to take more time, we'll actually have them towed to our building, and we have a forensics bay that we can pull a vehicle in, and all of our tools, and
We have a lift. We
Yeah,
have like the top of the line. I think it will lift a diesel, like a semi truck.
It's like four
Lift that we can
lifts
lift a
Oh
vehicle
my
up so we can get
gosh.
under it to do examinations.
And we've got all the equipment we'll need to, do any kind of processing, and we can, take our time and really be thorough, and which is where we did the vehicle she was discussing earlier, is inside this garage. So it helps us.
Man, that's incredible. It's when, I like cars and stuff like that. So the first time I ever saw y'all's bay, I was just like, oh my gosh, wish I could do some work out here, because you got so many just pieces of technology for vehicles and keeping y'all safe and stuff like that. That's really cool.
We are fortunate in our unit that we have the equipment that we have. We have top of the line
Yes, we do.
processing. We have all the chemicals. We have drying chambers for bloody items that are going to be needed that, stop DNA transfer. We have super glue chambers that are the top of the line. We have fingerprinting chamber that's top of the line. Like we have it all.
Yeah,
Well,
we are very fortunate.
If you're considering doing a crime in Garland, you might want to think twice after hearing and seeing this episode, because I mean, I'll tell you too. It never ceases to amaze me just the level of intensity y'all have. Obviously, it doesn't matter what detective it is or what specialized unit. Everybody's got a passion for what they're doing, and they do it above and beyond and take steps to go above and beyond. You guys are a different breed. I mean, you're essentially scientists working in a science lab, and you go out and you grab, your evidence and your experiments or what have you, and you bring it back and analyze it and find the clues. I mean, in real time. I mean, gosh, think of how many movies and TV shows and books have been written over your profession, and what y'all do day to day. I mean, is there any particular favorite thing that just kind of comes to mind that, I don't know, every time you're at a get-together with
I'll
other...
tell you. Can I tell you?
Yeah,
I'll
please.
tell you. Okay, so again, when I was 15, she was 14. We did not know each other. A few years ago, she and I were talking to the newer people. I guess something came up about how we got interested in this, and Tara said, well, there was this movie that came out when I was about 14, and she starts describing the movie. And she was like, there was luminol in this movie, and it was about this dentist who killed his wife. It's based on this true story, and it's one of those, what did you call it, like
Made for
over-drama?
TV
Yeah, made for
movies
TV movies.
Yeah.
It was kind of scary. She's 14, and it's not scary today, of
Yeah.
course, by any means. But I, of course, chime in and I go, that's why I started doing this job, was this movie that came out in 1991 starring Valerie Bertinelli.
Yep. Yeah.
Called In a Child's Name.
That's
And there's
awesome.
a scene where he had cleaned up his entire house, and they use luminol to enhance the blood, and of course it's completely over dramatized. But that's both of us did not realize that in
Wow.
1991, when we were 14 and 15,
We were just so
we had no idea who each other was. But that's
we just saw this movie.
we saw
We're
this
so fascinated
movie.
by it.
We're
that-
so fascinated.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
man.
essentially they used a chemical luminol, which they don't really use as much now, but Blue Star's kind of replaced it. But you would use it to cause the luminescence with latent blood that had been cleaned up, and so the suspect's parents were staying in his bedroom, which is where the murder took place. And earlier that day, the police had been there and they used this luminol chemical. Well, that night when the parents went to bed, they turn off the lights and all of a sudden the room starts to just glow. And there's like fingerprints on the wall
Blood
and
everywhere. And in real life, it's the two of us together doing this very same type of a scene, going, okay, it's fading. It doesn't last
Yeah.
for hours. It lasts seconds.
Yeah.
So, but at the time, we were both so like,
Yeah,
this is the
we're just
coolest
like,
thing
that's
we've ever seen.
I want to do
That's
that.
awesome. Well, I mean, there's something that draws every individual into their field. So, but that's really cool. I mean, man, that movie, no
Yeah.
telling how many
So even
forensic
now when
scientists.
I'm like teaching like the academy, if I do a section of teaching at the academy or whatever, I always show that scene. And of course, they're all looking at it like, that's not scary. And I'm like, oh, but in
Yeah.
1991,
Yeah.
Well, especially for a young girl watching,
Yeah.
It's really cool.
and that's the last we saw of Valerie Bertinelli.
Yeah.
Not really, we love her.
That's
I
really
put a picture
cool.
up at your desk one time of that scene.
Yes, you did. I think it's still. You gave me a
It's still
card.
hard.
Yeah. So,
That's really cool. Well, it's cute. Y'all seem like you're just best of friends. I mean, obviously the job and, let's face it, you deal with some trauma and stuff
You
at
can't
the
do this job and
scenes.
not bond on a different level because
Yeah.
you've seen each other at your worst, at your dirt, like you're just sweaty,
Yeah.
you're dirty, you're tired. You've
You're
seen horrible
emotionally
things,
spent,
emotionally spent, and there's nobody that you're going to talk to in the world about what you just
Yeah.
saw or what you just.
Just
Yeah.
not a lot of people understand
Yeah.
it. Even
So-
my own family, and I'll come home and they'll be like, I'll say something about a call or something that I did, and they're like, "You're so weird that you see that or you do that," and I'm like, "It's just."
And our desks
it's-
are right next to
yeah,
each
we're-
other, so
So yeah, we
turn to
talk to each other a lot, and
Well, that's really important. I mean, we have kind of come into an age and an era where it's okay to talk about feelings and things like that. There used to be the stigma years and years ago, suck it up, buttercup, just part of the job. But what people don't understand is, man, we take that stuff home with us. And yes,
do.
it is part of the job, but at the same time, We're human. We take this uniform off after our shift, and we have to become a person again. And so, y'all kind of segued into that. How do y'all decompress? I mean, y'all obviously rely on each other at the job for the duties of the job, but then when the job's over.
But not just for the duties. I think we do carry it back. Like, we'll still text each other about what's going on or, whatever. We decompress at work. We have kind of a little, I don't want to say, what do you call it, like a routine kind of. If we have a major call where everybody sits down, everybody eats together.
And we'll kind of discuss.
And we discuss everything. And not just that day, because it's still too fresh sometimes to still discuss that day. So we still follow up later. So we kind of have that family mentality of like everybody just kind of sits down and eats together.
That's awesome.
Because then it's informal. It's not you're on the spot. You're eating. It's camaraderie. And then you're talking at the same time.
Yeah. And then at that point, we're able to talk more about not so much the technicality of it, but the feelings, what it was like on that scene, and how like she was saying, how tired you are, how emotionally drained you are, because a lot of people, they always think, oh my God, that's so exciting what you do, you must love your job, and which we do. You'd have to do what we do, but it's also there's a lot of difficulty in it because we spend a lot of time in the heat, in wooded areas, in the dark, on the highway, in the middle of traffic. Yeah, and we're out there with a lot of times deceased bodies and stuff
For hours,
and
Yeah.
so
I would say that's probably one of the biggest differences. So officers, we sometimes have to go hands-on, but usually when the scene is contained, we're able to at least take a step back, and then we just preserve the scene for y'all, and y'all have to completely submerge yourself for hours. I mean,
and it's not just hours. That's when we start to really think about it. It's weeks or months, because just today I got an autopsy report of a death that I worked months ago.
Wow.
So you're rereading it again, and then you go back over it again. Or you
over.
get evidence back from SWIFT, which is the Southwestern Institute of Forensic Science. That's our morgue. That's our medical examiner. You're getting your decedent's clothing back. You're getting back their personal belongings. So you work on things for sometimes months.
yeah.
Wow.
And then not only that, you end up eventually it's going to go to trial, and so then it's all coming up again. You're having to look over everything and rehash that whole everything you did on that scene and the memories of it. And then some cases just stick with you forever. I mean, both
Absolutely.
there's good and bad memories from some of our calls, and so it's not like we just go to the scene and we're done and we move on. Some of these calls stick with us for many, many years.
No, for sure. Well, let's change gears just a little bit. So, based on TV and movies and what people typically think happens or how evidence, what are maybe some of the myths versus reality that people think happen or people think that are real versus reality?
It is not glamorous.
It's not glamorous.
By any stretch of the
we
imagination.
do not wear high heels. We do not kick doors open.
No, we don't carry guns.
We don't carry guns.
We don't drive Humvees.
We do
or
not.
Hummers.
We don't go to hot scenes.
Yeah.
If SWAT is there, force an entry, they don't bust the door open, and then we go, follow us, and go in with them following behind us.
We're hot, we're sweaty, we're hungry, we're tired, we're cranky, we're, yeah. Yeah, Katie and I do love, we will work for snacks. So
We do.
We're like, and so many people know that they're like, if they
you
have to
do
come and
this-
ask us for something, or if we're in a bad mood, they know to bring us like
Sometimes
candy
we'll find
bars.
like a Snickers on the
Yes.
table, just like.
So what is your favorite snack of choice for detectives that need
Yeah.
something?
Mine's Three Musketeers.
She loves the Three Musketeers. What do I love?
What don't you love?
Chocolate or hard
What
candy?
is your
person?
favorite?
I like a Snickers.
Okay, yeah.
Snickers.
And that commercial's true with Katie.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to end this, but before we kind of start wrapping things up, what would you tell either young Katie or young Tara or just someone in general who's interested in this field? Man, what is the best path or what should they focus on? Or I know I'm giving you a lot there to digest, but somebody who's interested in the field and wants to do what you do, what should they do?
I would absolutely say to reach out to either units or if you know some investigators and speak to them, get what actually what it's actually like, what they do, what they go through, what they experience, because, like we said, books, TV, and even schools, can kind of, I don't know, glamorize it a little,
Or dilute the reality.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and it's not always like it is when they are in school or whatnot, but because there's a lot of facets to what we do, and there's also different areas you can go into. We do scene work, is what our unit mainly is. A lot of people prefer labs to do, to doing that kind of thing. So definitely get as much, firsthand knowledge as you can, and if you can get internships, try to do that. That's definitely to give you an idea of what you're going to experience, because, it's not just about like, can I handle the bodies, or that kind of a thing. There's so much more that you have to be able to adapt to and handle. And
Yeah.
so,
You really do need to be able to adapt and adjust
Yeah.
at any moment. A lot of pivoting.
and like I said, it's definitely a job that you have to enjoy, because there are days that you're going to question, why am I doing this kind of a thing, because you can have really hard days sometimes.
If you don't love this is not for you. Like, you have to love this job or it's not for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and y'all have to get upper level education, right? Like what kind of master's degrees?
We have people with
Yeah, we have
everything up to masters. I'm sure we'll end up with somebody with a PhD at some point. There's some of us that are certified through the IAI, which is the International Association for Identification. There are student levels of that if anybody's ever interested in that, or if you are a student, you can go on and do a student membership. And then some of us have tested. I am a certified senior crime scene analyst. We have certified crime scene analysts and certified crime scene investigators in our unit.
Man, that's awesome.
And I would tell kids to call. Maybe you can do a ride out. I think you have to be 18. Do a ride out. You can do volunteer for a summer. You can do an internship. We're all willing to talk to anybody at any time if they have questions about anything. I think some of us have offered to help with science fair projects before. I mean, like, there's things that people, like, we're always willing to help and willing to talk, so that, because we want more people in our field.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, any final last thoughts, words, anything?
No?
I mean, we should probably do an episode just on the myths that TV shows have created.
I
Because there
like
is
where your
that.
head's at.
There is
You could
so
show
many.
us an episode and we'll
Yeah.
go back and
No,
tell
this
you
would
that's
be
not wrong.
this would be great.
That's right.
Yeah.
This would be great.
Yeah, because it does. I mean, there's a whole thing, that's caused the CSI effect in trials and stuff. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Because all 12 of those jurors have seen TV and they think they know. So if you had an engineer on the stand or if you had a doctor on the stand, they may not, or a mechanic, not all 12 of those may know about a lot of that. But if you ask any of them, they're like, oh, well, I've seen that on TV. I know how that works. They just assume.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
It's just not accurate.
right.
And when I became a police officer, and I think I know from TV shows and stuff, but then there's one thing that TV shows and movies cannot prep you for. That's the smell.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You cannot dramatize smell very well, and man, there are some things
I mean, you
that'll
can
knock
ask
your
us.
socks
I'm
off.
tired.
Yeah, as you don't get used to it.
You don't
It's
get
not.
used
I mean,
to
I
it.
think at this point we're like, we're even more like, oh my God, I can't.
I know you, so you try to start out tough. Oh, that's not going to bother me. Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
I don't need a mask.
I'm good. I don't need a mask. Okay. I think the last one I went in, I probably had full
Yeah,
like
And you don't-
respirator. I don't want.
when you leave the scene, you don't leave the smell behind.
No, it's in
it
your
comes with
clothes.
you. It's in
It's
your
in your
clothes,
hair.
your nose,
Your hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just kind of.
So sometimes we
that's-
walk in and immediately apologize. Sorry.
Yeah,
I've been on
or
call.
tell everybody you're like, I smell bad. Don't
I
hug
smell-
me. Don't.
Don't hug me.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
Oh yes, we do. We do. And just when we come back,
Don't hug
or
me.
we do come back from a scene and we're like, oh, I'm back. Trying to, and it was like,
On
don't.
purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Well, thank you both for what you do and your life dedication to your craft, and just helping make Garland a better place, the department a better place. I mean, y'all have personally, single-handedly solved cases, and man, that's incredible. So thank y'all very much
you.
for coming.
Thank you for
and
having us.
Thank you.
all right. Wow, that was a fantastic episode. Meeting with Tara Huggins and Katie Tucker two of our lead forensics investigators. Man, we got to learn a little bit about them personally, what some of their favorite things in the unit are. And then they gave some really great insight on young people who want to join that field and kind of just what to do to get there. And so, man, this was very insightful and enjoyable to be a part of.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things behind this podcast. You know, we want to kind of share some of the behind the scenes, the real authentic look as to what goes on in specialized divisions such as forensics. So check us out on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts, and you can see the whole video on YouTube as well.
You are clear for long code.